Okay, hi guys. I am literally so excited for tonight. Listen, I have been wanting to get this girl on a Zoom literally since the moment she started popping off last month. If you guys know Bri, can we say hi to her in the chat? I'm so excited to have her on tonight. This is her first Zoom where she is sharing her story. She's literally sharing everything that she does. So I am seriously so excited to have her on tonight. So just a little backstory. Bri has been on my team actually. I think it's next month. I don't think it's this month, right, Bri? It's next month. That is her 2 years. Yes. Next month is her
Yep.
2 years on my team. And honestly, it was so crazy because right when Bri joined in the beginning, she like popped off. And as you guys are going to hear from this story, she literally kind of fell off a little bit. And drop a one if you can relate to that. Like maybe in the beginning, you were so excited, you were so ready to change your life. And then things just started to happen, right? And life gets in the way and the business goes on the back burner. And I'm here. I'm so glad so many of you are dropping ones right now because I'm here to tell you that she is just going to light a fire under every single one of you and tell you why you shouldn't let life hold you back from doing incredible in this business. So Bri, go ahead and share your story with us, babe.
Hi guys, I'm Bri, as you all know. So I did join this business at the end of May of 2021. And before I joined this, I was working at my local Cracker Barrel. And this was after COVID, things really took a hit. And I was suddenly out of a job. And because of that, I was a full-time college student. I had bills. I mean, I needed a job. I couldn't just not work at all because I had stuff I had to pay for. And so I was scrolling on TikTok, saw this opportunity, and I realized that I had been scrolling looking for a job. No one was hiring at that time because, COVID really took a hit and they couldn't hire people because they didn't have the money. And so I was like, you want to know what? I'm sick of, I was making $8.30 an hour. Like, I was not making anything. And so when I tell you I was working all these hours to just strictly pay my bills and have a little bit extra, but it wasn't anything that was like, oh wow, this is amazing, I deserve this. Like, it was so underpaid. And when I saw this job, I was like, you want to know what? I'm just going to take the leap. It was actually a week before I was going on vacation and I was trying to find all the excuses why not to do it. I was like, oh, I don't have the money, like I need it for vacation, whatever. So I joined, and not even like 3 days in, I know I texted Haley and I lost my Instagram. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like I was like, oh, this is it. Like I started breaking down. I was just in a bad headspace. And I was like, you want to know what? Like Haley reminded me that this is a new opportunity. You started this journey. You can start brand new with your Instagram. It's not like it's all over. You can restart and you can build from there. And I've been able to do that. And I like it because I was able to create a fun and aesthetic looking Instagram. Like I love how my page looks ever since I joined this. And so I started over and I went on vacation, started taking my pictures. I was super excited for this journey. And my brother was in a car accident and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. He had traumatic brain injury. We were 12 and a half hours away. And it was just like one of those things where, okay, this next 72 hours is like life or death. And I was like, you know what? I can take a break or I can keep working, but still be there because what can I do 12 and a half hours away? So kept going. I ended up going Ruby. I don't exactly remember when it was, but I know it was just a few short months into this business and I was absolutely loving it. And I stuck with Ruby for the rest of the year, but then my mental health really took a turn. And instead of trying to fight and stay positive and still keep showing up, I stopped and it tremendously. That's when I lost, my rank and I went back. And for the entire year, 2022, I mean, I wasn't making good pay at all because I lost the pay I was getting. And it was a huge wake up call where I was like, yeah, I can start here, do this. But like, I even texted Haley and she was telling me, be consistent, do this. And I know I was telling her, yeah, like I'm going to do that. And maybe I did that a few times, but if I'm being completely honest, I did not do that. And that was one of the worst things I could have done for myself because I wasn't staying consistent. And I was like, you want to know what? Like, even if I'm not consistent, I'll still see results. And I quickly realized that I didn't. And this year, I texted Haley and I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm done with this. Like, I graduate college this May. I am sick of sitting on the sidelines and I'm ready to take this business to the next level. And last month was the biggest pay I have ever had. And when I tell you that, I didn't even believe it. Haley was blowing up my phone. I'm texting her like, I'm so excited. Like, I can't believe this is actually coming true. And the key difference that what I did was consistency, showing up, truly just when the results weren't there, you have to keep going because there are days that you're not going to see all the results you want to see. But if you don't, you need to remember that keep going because it's going to pay off. And that is exactly how it did. And when I said I wanted to do this in January, did I start making all this money and all these results the next morning? No, but I had to be consistent for those few months. And then it really paid off last month. And that was one of the best things that like I could have done for myself. And that's just honestly like consistency and a positive mindset really is what helped me get through those last few months.
I love that so much. Can you guys drop a one if you relate to any part of her story? Because it's crazy. And I'm gonna have you guys drop another number in just a second because I love that you brought up the fact that like we had so many conversations about being consistent and you were like, yeah, I said I was, but I really wasn't. Like you got so vulnerable because at the end of the day, you can tell your leader anything, right? And at first I was like believing her. I was like, cool, she's being consistent, she's listening. But then she was like, no, I'm actually wasn't doing that. And that's what actually took her from where she was stuck to where she wanted to be, is realizing she needed to be consistent on all platforms. Like, and it's crazy because I remember when you texted me, and this is where I'm gonna have you guys drop a number. If you have ever said this, or if you've ever had someone say this to you, where she texted me and she was like, yeah, I'm all in this time, and said it like that. Drop a 2 if you've ever had anyone say that to you or you've said that before, okay? Because let me tell you, when I got that text, I was like, oh man, I was like, I really want to tell her again that she needs to be consistent, but how do I tell her that? And it's so funny because I was actually telling Bri this story and I wanted to say it on this Zoom. I actually told Alex, I was like, what I want to tell this girl is her work ethic is so fire that if she would just do it a little every day, she would be incredible. Like she would make a full-time income. She would make thousands of dollars every single month. And literally my husband, he looks at me and he's like, then say that. And I was like, I don't want to come off rude. He's like, no, just say it. He goes, because if she's meant to be on your team, she needs to hear that. I'm like, no, you're right. And I remember after I got that text, I sent her a voice message back and I was like, listen, you know, I care about you. You know, I want you to be successful. I said, but how badly do you want it? And she was like, I want it. I want it really bad. And I was like, great. Then you have to actually be consistent. You have to actually post your stories, not just say you're going to, but truly do it and truly utilize all your social medias. And she was like, okay, you're right. I'm going to do it this time. And she actually did it. And she did it. And look at what happened in literally less than 90 days. And I love that you said it didn't happen the next day. I love that you said it didn't happen this week. I love that because you're so right. It doesn't just happen overnight. Millionaires are not made overnight. Anybody who's successful in this business or anything in life, it took time to build it up. And like you said, even when you weren't seeing those results, you had to keep a positive mindset. And so I love that. I want you to share like your tips and what's working for you right now, because we can get into the questions because I have a list of questions for you. But I wanted you to obviously share your tips, because drop a 3 if you want to hear some of Bri's tips, her fire tips from TikTok, from anything that she's doing right now. Okay, Bri, spill the beans, share some insider tips with us.
Okay, so I'm so excited. I've been waiting to like tell everyone because I have had so many people reach out to me and I'm like, I just want to tell everyone. Like, I'm just telling all these girls all my tips because like I want to share them and I want everyone else to be successful as well. And so one of the biggest things that I have found is the most, I think if you guys have seen, 99.8% of my enrollments alone were from TikTok. There were maybe a few like that were from Tap Link, but again, they still came from TikTok. And so one of the things that I found is I went from posting 2 TikToks, maybe like once a week, if that, I started just posting 3 to 5 times a day. And one thing that I found is, you know, like I said before, those views are not going to be there right away, but you keep up with the consistency and I promise you, you are going to see those results. And one thing, it's actually funny because I'm not able to message on TikTok because when one of my posts blew up, I texted a little bit too much and I got restricted from texting. So I will send everyone from my TikTok to my Instagram to, do the tap link, or even Facebook. So that way I have different social media. So I'm not risking getting banned. So I can't talk with potentials. So I found a way to distribute over a few different social media platforms, just so that way I'm kind of like keeping everything equal and I'm not putting all that traffic on one social media, because I have found when you do that, it is a little bit easier to be restricted from messaging, which we don't want that. That's what we do. I mean, we work on social media. And so posting these TikToks very consistently is what I have seen. And with posting, some of the things I want to tell you guys that I have been doing, like I said, posting 3 to 5 times a day. When I actually record my content, I actually just put, it does not take long. The more you do it, I promise you, the faster it is to actually just record this content. Is just take a few minutes out of your day. Sometimes I will actually record enough for an entire week's worth. I will just mix up different videos, switch different outfits, so I'm not posting the same thing. But I like to take the time that I have to record more, so that way it's less I have to do and put time away from. And so with posting with those, I also like to use hashtags that I see on my For You page, because if they're on your For You page, you want your videos to be there as well. So one thing I have learned is look at those For You pages, or the hashtags you have on your For You page. And when I use songs, I actually will scroll on my For You page. And if you see a sound that has been on there 2 or 3 times, you want to save it. That is what I do. I will save it. And the next day I will go and I will make a video. And I like to post about weight loss, the business. I actually just posted a giveaway a few days ago, and it was up to over 10,000 views within like 12 hours. So I like to post those 3 different things. I also like to put personal ones in there because they like to see your life. They want to know like who you are. And so I like to put those there as well. And the thing that I can say with my tips on social media is make sure that you are posting on your story. One thing that I have found, I actually went live on my story. And that is when a lot of girls reached out to me, because when we work on social media, it is hard to tell, okay, who am I talking to? I'm interested in your products. I'm interested in joining your team, but who are you as a person? It's very hard to tell. And, there are people out there that think, hey, it's a scam. So one of the things I have done is truly showing your face, your voice, really connecting with the people that you're talking with, because that is one of the things that has brought the more consistency to my pages. And I have had a lot of people say to me, as soon as I will send a voice message, wow, like, thank you for saying that. Because when I tell you, I feel so much better. I feel comfortable in this decision. I feel like so safe, because it's one of those things where in this world, there are scams so much. I've been scammed several times, and it's one of the worst feelings. And I would never do that to another person, but how are they supposed to know that when we're just talking over social media and they don't actually get to know me or see me face to face?
Okay, that was fire. Can we like drop a mic on that? How are they supposed to know that? That's the worst feeling on the other end, but how are they supposed to trust you? I love that you said that. So good, Bri. So one thing I wanted to ask you really quick, I don't even think I had this in my questions, but it just popped up. You were talking about voice messaging, but like, what would you suggest if someone's new and they're like, I've never voice messaged before, I don't know what I'm doing? What would be your advice for someone like that? Because it's changed your business. So how would you suggest that to someone who's newer?
I 100%, I know it's going to be one of the scariest things that you do, because when I started this business, I mean, Haley loves to send her voice messages. And I was like, oh, like, she's so cute. I love hearing her voice. And then I would go to like send a voice message. And I was like, I don't think so. It's kind of freaky. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I'm just not that kind of person that loved to do that. But then eventually I got very comfortable with Haley. And I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to start my voice message here. If you have a good relationship with your leader, or just even someone that you know in the business, the best thing that you can do is start sending voice messages to them. Or if you want to, you can also start like sending voice messages to your friends. If you already talk to them daily, it's a little bit easier to get yourself more comfortable with sending those voice messages if you're not ready to kind of take that step. But one thing that I have found is every single conversation I have does not end without a voice message. I will always send it because, like I said, I just like when I send the voice message, I will start it out with, "Hi, I just want to pop in here and send you a quick voice message just so you can hear my voice." Like, and I tell them, it is hard when you're on social media. So I give them that reassurance and I tell them I'm genuinely here to help you, whether, whatever situation it is. If it's income, then I send one for that. But weight loss, I have different voice messages that I will send just so that way I can reach out to them. And I have never had a single person tell me, "Oh, because of this voice message, I don't feel good about my decision." I have not had a single person tell me that. They have all told me, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That was the best thing. I'm so excited. Let's do this." And then they hop right in because they're able to hear my voice. Yes, they watch my TikToks, but it's not the same as personally hearing me. So I 100% would recommend you can take the time that you need, but I'm going to tell you this, that sending those voice messages is only going to help your enrollments.
Love that so much, Bri. And I love that you were talking about practicing, like, even if it's not with like me. It was so funny. Like literally sent you voice messages like every other text. I was sending you a voice message. But that's like, honestly, I feel like how you cultivate good relationships, like you said, on your team, because now you send them to your girls. Now you send them to your potentials, right? But again, it starts with you. So I love that you said that, Bri. So I want to go into the questions now. And we're going to just take, if you guys have questions as well that you have for Bri as she's talking, please drop them in the chat. But these were the most popular questions that we had seen on our team. So the first question, I think this is so good, is what changed for you to go from posting on TikTok a few times a month, right? Like you had said, to staying completely consistent and posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram stories, posting on TikTok every day. Like what changed, honestly, like what changed in you to go from a few times to every single day?
Honestly, point blank is the easiest answer I can come up with physically is the results. Because when you're staying consistent, I mean, like I said, it's going to take you a little bit. If you haven't been consistent, don't expect those overnight. And I think that is one of the things where even I can tell you that I expected those results. And if they didn't show up, it kind of got to me where I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to be good at this because I don't have all the results that I see all these amazing leaders have. And that's one thing that I wanted to be like Haley. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like all these leaders that were truly seeing results. And the one thing that they were doing that I wasn't was being consistent. And when it comes to TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, I mean, I have talked to some girls that have been in this business for years and they never had that when they started it. So it's one of those things that has kind of evolved into our business. When we are on social media, it's a little bit easier because you're going to get potentials that are reaching out just from those videos. So yes, we're going to continue to do what we do where we post on our stories, post on our Facebook, Instagram, but including those TikTok videos that you can then just, as soon as you post it, you can copy the link, download it, and then post it right to Facebook and Instagram. And it's actually pretty cool because when I post on Instagram, it'll actually recommend to Facebook. So I think it technically will recommend, like if I post it on Facebook, then there's two versions of it out there, but it's one of those things where we're still doing what we're doing. We're just using extra resources to see those potentials. And that's where you're going to get those extra people that you want to have reached on your Facebooks that you're able to talk with. And I think it's one of the best things that you can do is just staying consistent and having those extra resources, because who doesn't love the extra people that you can bring in from these resources? I mean, they can't hurt your business at all. They only help it.
Love that so much. I feel like for me, whenever we would talk, I was like, see, I'm not seeing the results you're seeing on TikTok, but I'm seeing them on Facebook Reels. And you were like, oh my God, yeah, Facebook Reels. We got to post a Facebook Reels. I'm like, girl, get on there, right? And that's what I love so much about, like you said, already making the resource, making the video, making the content, and it's going to everywhere. Even with like Instagram stories, guys, they automatically post to Facebook. So why would you not be automatically keeping your TikTok saved and posting them to Facebook and Instagram? It's just a waste if you're not using it. So I love that you said that. That was so good. So how do you stay, like, obviously you're incredibly busy. How do you stay organized with your personal follow-ups? Like, what would you say to someone who's maybe a busy student like yourself? What's your best method for staying organized?
So personally for me, I've always been that person that wants to have the cutest everything, get my planners. And when I tell you the amount of planners that I have bought, I have a planner that's sitting right on the other side of that door that I have not touched. And so one of the best things that has found for me was I personally, when I'm in those conversations, I will screenshot it, save it right to my phone, because one of the things that I found is, okay, so I will go through and check those screenshots daily to make sure I'm not forgetting about people, but I'm usually pretty good with keeping up with that, so I don't have to. But one of the things that I found is, okay, so let's say, for instance, I have follow-ups I need to do tomorrow. If I somehow forgot about them and I'm out at dinner, it's so convenient to just pull out your phone, look at your photos. You don't have to pull out a whole planner and look at who do I have to follow up with. Not to mention, I feel like for me, I have big handwriting. So if I have to follow up with 6 or 7 girls, how am I writing all these girls' names onto this little tiny like planner to know what source did they come from? What's their username? What am I reaching out to them for? So personally for me, if you want to do a planner, I fully support that. Do what honestly fits you better. But for me personally, it's screenshots, and I have it right on the Photos app that I have on my phone. And it's one of the easiest and most convenient things that works for me.
Oh my God, perfect. Love that. Thank you. So also going into being a college student, I know you graduate in May, but obviously you've been in this business almost 2 years. So you've been a student the whole time. So how are you finding time? This is like the most popular question, besides the other one I said at the beginning, was how do you find time to work on all the social medias? Like everybody wants to know how you're actually finding the time. Can you guys drop a 1 if you want to know how she finds the time? Like obviously you're a full-time student, you have a life. Like how are you finding the time to do TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, send out the messages, find the people, follow people? Like how are you finding the time to do it all?
So one of the things that I found that was the most convenient, because like I said, we all have different schedules. Not everyone has an open book to just kind of work at your own pace. And one of the things that I found, it was a huge adjustment, because I mean, this semester I'm only taking 3 classes because I am graduating this May, but there were times where I was taking 5 or 6 classes and having finals, midterms, papers due. Like right now I have a 45-page paper that is due in a few weeks, but I'm still able to stay consistent. And one of the things that I found is when you're trying to have your time management, it's just all you have to do is just put a little bit of time here and there. And one of the things, when I wake up, the first thing I will do is go onto my social media, and I will go and I will add all of those girls. You know what I mean? So doing that before I even start my day, because that doesn't take long. That's just a few minutes adding them. And then right after that, I will go into the shared albums and I will add to my story right away. That's even before I get up and I shower, brush my teeth or nothing. That's still just like waking up and before I start my day. And I found that that's one of the easiest things to do, because if I have to be to class by 10 a.m. So when I'm able to do those, once I'm done with class, I can then continue on. I can start messaging. I can move on to Instagram. And like I said, with TikTok, with those, I already have them kind of like laid out of what I'm going to post. I have the video, I just don't have the writing out. So like I said, the writing does not take long, but it's honestly just looking at your life, and it's like, how long are you on social media? If you're not doing something, not saying you have to have your eyes glued to your phone 24/7, because with staying organized and also having time for this, one of the things I have found is if you have a busy schedule, it is easier to kind of get frustrated if you don't have those results right away. And one of the things that I found is if you need a break, take a break. You're not going to be punished for it. No one's saying you're giving up, but you truly, if you just need that break from your phone, it is okay to completely put that down and just take time for yourself.
I love that. I want to like use that momentum that you're talking about right now and kind of like skip to one of my most like obviously last questions is when you are in not a good mood, you just said you take a break. Is there anything you specifically do to put yourself in like a better mood when you're feeling frustrated, when you're feeling kind of exasperated? Do you have anything like that?
So for me, this actually happened. So I'm not sure, I'm sure other people were in the same situation. Month end was stressful. It was one of those things where I definitely did start to get frustrated, and I had to honestly sit back and think, okay, I need time to take away from my phone. So what I did was I just took a short drive, went to my local Marshalls, looked around, cleared my head, got some fresh air, and I came back. And when I tell you, I walked through that door, I was like, oh, I'm ready. Like I'm a whole new Bri walking into this house. I am ready to honestly just keep going. And like I said, it's very easy to fall into that being upset, or you know what I mean, things not kind of working out for you. And I have found that the more that you kind of take time for yourself, even if you just want to get up and clean, or if you have a hobby that if you like to draw, whatever that may be, just taking that time away from your phone just to kind of like compress and cool down. Because I promise you, if you keep working while you're stressed or upset, it's not going to help you at all, because you're just kind of working off of those emotions and you're not genuinely just ready to help someone. You're just like, oh, someone just like answered me and this actually worked. And I have actually done that where I was desperate. I physically was working off of desperate. And I actually did have someone like pull away and said that they didn't want it anymore just because of that. And that was one of my wake up calls. That was like, you want to know what you need? Take a breather. It's fine. Like, just take that time for yourself, because I promise you it's going to help you so much better.
Sorry, I was writing in the chat because I was like, that is so good. That is so good. I can't even tell you. Can you guys drop it too if you've ever worked this business desperate? Like, I can't tell you, I'm being in this business almost 5 years. Like, I definitely work this desperate and it never comes out the way that I want. And the reason is, and it's funny because me and Bri were actually talking about this. I think it was last week, we were talking about working out of desperation. And it's funny because we were just going back and forth about how much the enemy loves that, working out of desperation, working out of fear. Like, he loves for you to be in that bad mood, but God pulls you further into the mood that you're supposed to be in, because at the end of the day, like, every good and perfect thing came from God. So if you're feeling bad, that's not from God. You're not supposed to have that. So like Bri said, set the phone down, get out of that space, get out of that like emotions that you're wrapped up in, and just take a step back. And like she said, do something for you. I love that so much. That was so good. That was such a key thing. So now I want to get into kind of like a specific thing, is what messages are you sending out to people on your platform to bring in enrollments? Because I feel like everybody wants like what you're using, like the exact message. They want Bri's message. So you share that with us.
So when it comes to TikTok, I am strictly, once they comment, I'm like, okay, here you go. Click the link, get the Insta. I also have in my bio site link that I also have my phone number, because I have found people that do not have Instagram. What are we supposed to do if we don't have an Instagram? So I have put my number there so they can message me. And one of the things that I like to do is, if I am messaging them straight from TikTok, I like to ask them, how much weight are you looking to lose? Are you 18 plus? I ask that just personally, so it's a little bit easier for me to kind of like get more information on what products would be best for them. And I do like, if you are posting on TikTok, I know Haley has had this as well, you do typically get more than just the US. So one thing I do like to do is, in the same text, I will actually say at the end, also, are you from the US or Canada? And just so I have an understanding, because one of the things I know, I texted Haley the one night I had 3 carts back to back, 5 minutes apart, and they want the smoothies. They're Canada. So, I had to go back on that, and I felt bad because they really were excited for these smoothies. But one of the things I like to just get all the clarification I can, and that is one of the best things that I can to help them. So I would do that. Go into, personally for me, I lost 40 pounds in 4 months. So I will immediately, if they're a coffee lover, I have in my message the coffee options, but I also have what I personally use in a parenthesis so that they know, hey, I lost 40 pounds in 4 months with this one. And that's typically where I go, because my personal results, I want to help them as well. If they're texting me for my own results, if they can have coffee, they're going to want the products that I use. And that is why having results of your own is such a huge thing, because no one's going to say to you, I don't want to see your result pictures. That is something they are never going to say to you. I've never had one person say that to me. So when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, when I go to message them, it's the cold message, LC and DT messages. I personally like to obviously just go and send kind of like half and half is the way that I kind of like to go. And if they tell me no on the products, I will then just go send them the DT message if they're not interested in those. So I like to reach out that way. And if they are coming from like voting on a poll of mine, I will message them and say, hey, like, I saw that you voted on this and you would like more info. Is that correct? And so that's just one of the best ways that I can find to honestly reach out to people and giving them the best resources that they can, so that way I can help them.
I love that you said stories. I totally forgot. I'm so glad you said this on this Zoom because I was blanking out. I was like, dang, she enrolled a lot from stories at the end of the month too. And it's because of those polls. She literally did polls like almost every single day. If you guys are not doing polls on your story, please do. She was like, are you a coffee lover? Are you a smoothie lover one day? And then the next day she was like, are you looking to lose? It was like, you looking to lose like 5 to 20 pounds, or are you looking to tone up, or are you looking to, like, I'm trying to think, clear your skin? Like, there were so many different things you were putting on your story every single day. And I love that you made your own and you were putting like your face on it. Like she was putting a cute picture of herself, whether it was pointing or whether it was just like a picture of herself, and it was a poll. So I love that so much. And then again, they're seeing you, right? Like you said, they're seeing your face, they're seeing you on your story. So definitely do that if you guys are not doing that. So last 2 questions, and then we are calling it for the night. So if you guys haven't put questions in the chat, this will be it. So what would you say to someone who has not been consistent thus far in the business, whether they're new or they've been in for a few years? What would your personal advice be if they are not consistent right now?
I would say that going from not being consistent to 100% consistent can be a challenge. But one of the things is I have found, even in those days where you wake up and you're like, oh man, like I'm just not ready to simply live and do stuff. I just want to kind of relax and not really be on my phone. But one of the things I found is even if you push yourself in those times you don't want to do something, I promise you it's going to pay off. It may be 12 hours a day, 2 weeks, but it'll pay off. And I promise you. And so one of the things that I found is if you don't have consistency, that is the biggest base that you have to your, business. And I would just like to say that if you are not consistent, one of the first things that you should be doing is just running and start being consistent, because you are going to see those changes. And I can't wait to see all the chats blowing up with everyone that if you're changing over consistency or you're starting something new, like I cannot wait to see all of these enrollments with everyone being consistent.
And I'm going to add on to what you said, because one thing that I feel like pushed you was also like your future. And I remember we had this conversation about, what do you want to do after school? Right? What do you want to do? And she was like, I want to travel. And that pushes her. And I guarantee whenever she's feeling low and she doesn't want to work, what pushes you to be your best self, Bri? I want to go travel. I want to go travel the world. Well, that's not free. You know what I mean? Like, you need an income. And so I want you guys to remember why you're doing what you're doing and why you're here, right? Because like Bri said, the sacrifice is worth it. The consistency is worth it. So even in those times where you're putting in the work and you feel like no one sees you, God sees you. He will bless the work that you put into this business, every single piece of it. So that kind of leads into the last question of, what's your advice for someone who feels like they're just ready to give up, throw in the towel because they haven't been seeing results? Like, what would you tell them if they're like, yeah, Bri, you know what? That's great. That consistency worked for you, but I'm honestly just ready to throw in the towel because I'm honestly tired of the fact that I haven't seen results yet.
It's actually funny that you asked that, because I know you and I had a conversation and you straight up told me that there were times where you questioned if I was still in this company. Like if I was even still for it, because I know that I wouldn't text you for weeks or months. And I was like, wow, like I really need to text her. I am not keeping up with this. I'm getting so bad. And the more you let it, the harder it gets to turn it all around and really get back to what you love to do. And simply, one of the best things that I found is there was a few times I was like, oh, well, maybe I should just go look for a job. And then when I graduate, I can, use my degree. But when I tell you how upset I was to be like, oh, I'd have to like go back into a corporate job. Like that's something I didn't want to do, because I truly, in my family, I'm the bubbliest person. I love being on social media. I love taking pictures. I love traveling, whatever it may be. I love showing my life. And I'm the person in my family that loves to do this. So I was like, well, if I'm not going to do it, then who's going to do it? Because I'm that person that honestly was made for this job. And it's simply, I've never had a job where I truly love what I do. And I think that's something that changed in me, because I used to have such a negative mindset. And having a negative mindset is one of the worst battles to go through. Same thing with your mental health, because you're not even dealing with like outside sources that are coming to you. You are dealing with your own mind that is battling with you every single day to tell you, you can't do this. It's not going to work out for you, but you know that you want to. And so one of the things that I truly have found is do not give up, because when I tell you that if you truly think about your future and you're like, well, what can this do for me? What am I going to gain if I give up on this company that I've already put so much time into, made friendships, been able to pay off my debt, simply travel and not have to request off? Why would I go back to a job where I have to do that and I have to make $8.30 or maybe $15 an hour? I mean, that's nothing right now with inflation. So everything is getting more expensive. And if you truly want to live your life traveling and pay off your debt, I mean, that is one of the best things you can do, because I mean, this is what we do as a job. We love social media and we simply love helping women. And one of the things that I have changed over in my mindset is not just being like, oh, I just want the money. I don't care to help people. Truly, I do this because I want to help people, because my mental health was at an all-time low before I joined this. And I was just not happy with my weight whatsoever. So when I was able to help myself, I wanted to do the same thing. So one of the things I can say is have a positive mindset, keep that consistency, do not give up, because I'm that type of person where I don't want to ever say what if. And that is the biggest things that I have in my life.
Oh my gosh, Bri, thank you so dang much. Can we give her lots of love in the chat and just say thank you? Seriously, we're so grateful for you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your tips. And honestly, I just appreciate the vulnerability. From the start of this Zoom, you've had so much vulnerability about where you were and where you're going and what you've done in the last 3 months. And I'm honestly just so proud of you for making that decision. And that's something I just want to remind each and every single one of you on this Zoom is Bri truly made a decision to be consistent. She didn't just say she was going to do it. She actually went out and did it. And no matter what I said or what I did, it couldn't change what she was going to do with her life. It's a choice within you. So you guys have to decide today, are you going to be consistent? Are you going to do the things? Because you could be diamond, right? You could be double diamond. You could be triple diamond by the end of the year, making 5 figures a month. It's just a choice. And again, remember, if you feel unseen, if you feel like no one sees you, if you feel like no one's for you, just remember that God is. And I promise that he sees all your highs and all your lows, and he still loves you for where you are right now. And I promise you that he's taking you higher. That's why you're in this business, and that's why you're on this team. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Bri, thank you again so much. We love you so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Bye, guys.